Hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Adam here, and this is a hypnosis session all about freeing yourself from very addictive substances like cocaine. And I was working with a client that had a multi-year cocaine habit and had short events of not using, but then would kind of return to it. And it was always preceded by an inner voice that said, "Come on, you deserve it. You know, this will be fine." Those kind of things. But then that would pull them back. And this client had decided that they wanted to be free of this and had what they considered one last blowout, one last big night out using cocaine. And that was in the past, a few days before. So in this hypnosis session, I use a train metaphor to highlight that that was one of the stops towards a future where they're not using at all. And that the inner dialogue is like a false friend. It's like this manipulating voice that is telling you things to hold you back rather than move you forward. And that links to this train metaphor. There's also other things in there as well, like seeing the future where they are free of the opportunity cost. And a lot of people are very aware of the financial cost when it comes to cocaine, but not the opportunity cost. An opportunity cost is, what else could you have done with that same time, money, emotions, and health, and all of those hours that were kind of lost? What could that have been deployed with? And another way of thinking about that is that if you never started that habit, where would you be now compared to where you are now? Is a nice way of thinking about that. And if that's true for your past leading up to now, it's also true for now leading up to your future. So if you stay on the same track, you're probably not going to end up where you would want to be if you make a change. And that's really what this session is all about. Some of the references are very, very specific to the client that I was working with and might not quite relate to your situation. Your substance might be nicotine and not cocaine, or it might be a different drug, in which case ignore any suggestions that aren't relevant to you and just accept the suggestions that are useful for you and your situation. If you like the idea of working with me, though, there will be a link in the description where you can book a completely free consultation call. We'll have a chat for about 30 minutes and we'll figure out if I'm the right person to be your hypnotherapist and help you to create a change. For now, though, let's enjoy this hypnosis session. So find a quiet, comfortable place where you're not going to be disturbed. Relax and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in that feeling of calm relaxation. And as you exhale, notice the feeling of complete relaxation in your eyelids. And as you feel that relaxation, notice that with your eyes closed, how much easier it becomes to focus on the sound of my voice. Breathing in relaxation and exhaling that tension. Each breath takes you deeper and deeper relaxed. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to feel a sense of gratitude for how your brain and mind is wired. Sometimes you can feel compulsive, focused, and other times impatient. But just consider that your brain is just a different type of computer. And I want you to get a sense that you're harnessing that computer's ability to focus on the sound of my voice and to think about a future that you desire, a future not beyond reach. So as you breathe in and breathe out, just allow muscles within your body to feel like they're letting go, enabling you to drift deeper and deeper relaxed. And I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine sitting on a train. And as you look out at the window, I want you to see another train right beside you. And just imagine as that train moves forward, it feels like you're moving back. And you're not. You're stationary. It just feels like you're moving back because that train was moving forward. And I want you to get a sense that over the next few days and weeks, as you start to move forward, certain people around you will feel like they're moving back, and they won't like that feeling. And without any malicious intention, they will try and slow you down. They will try and hold you back, not because they don't want you to do well and move forward. It's just that they don't want to feel like they're being left behind. And I want you to imagine your train is moving in a different direction towards a future. And each stop on this train line represents progress. And at the end of the train line is your destination, a future maybe 1 or 2 years from now, a reunion. But right now, imagine yourself in a first-class carriage, in a reclining chair, sinking into that chair. And as I count down from 10 to 1, you will imagine drifting off into a dreamlike sleep, there, in that chair, on that train, moving forward. 10. Just releasing any tension in your forehead. And then 9. Around your temple and your cheeks. 8. Breathing in relaxation and exhaling any tension in your jaw. And then 7. Just feel that relaxation going down into your neck and your shoulders. As 7 becomes 6, your arms start to relax now, limp, loose, and heavy. Continuing to take a deep breath in and a long breath out. And then 5, feel that your internal organs are all relaxing. Your heart, your lungs, your stomach. But I want you to imagine you're breathing in a healing light that is starting to repair any internal organ damage. So you start to feel healthier. And as 5 turns to 4, imagine that healing light going down into your gut. That's it. And feel that resourceful relaxation now going down into your upper legs. As 3 turns to 2, your lower legs. And as 2 goes to 1, your feet. And just imagine your toes feeling relaxed. Your calf muscles feeling relaxed as the sensation goes upwards now. Your leg, your gut, your arms and legs, all the way to the top of your head, feeling relaxed now. As you imagine drifting off into a dreamlike sleep. And sometimes when we dream, memories come up. And as you rest here in this place, bring to mind that last blowout. Remember, you told yourself, it's the last one. And it was. And maybe you remember that it either did or didn't live up to its promise. Maybe there was chaos or craziness, emptiness or elation. It doesn't matter. But start to think of it as it was, seeing yourself like you're someone else. And maybe, as the observer, it wasn't quite the experience you thought it was. And make the evaluation looking back on that version of you and say to yourself with complete clarity and conviction, that was the last blowout. Because from this moment forward, your mind, your heart, and your body know with absolute certainty it's finished now. You are no longer a user. You are a survivor. I want you to get a feeling that what started off as a user became an abuser. And you are now a survivor of abuse, even if you were also the abuser. And the survivor will evolve to a protector of yourself and of those you love. A wonderful belief to believe is anything you're not changing, you're choosing. So if, as of now, you are no longer a user or abuser, then you would now have to choose, knowing everything you know, to step back into that identity. You would have to want to be an abuser to yourself. You would have to want to deprive yourself of a wonderful, fulfilling future. And you can always choose to do that, but only if you really want to. And sometimes there might be a voice inside that urges you to go back to that life. A whisper of temptation is only the voice of a false friend, desperate not to be abandoned. But you see it for what it is now: weak, manipulative, unworthy of your time, your money, or your energy. In fact, the emotional cost, the financial cost, aren't the biggest costs. Not even the cost to your health. The biggest cost is the opportunity cost of all the other things you could have done with that time, energy, and emotion, not to mention the money. So you know deeply it simply isn't worth it. Not now, not ever. Whenever a thought or an urge appears, you recognize it as just that. A thought, a sound in the distance, a sound from a train moving backwards. And you don't need to listen, and you don't need to agree. In fact, those urges spark within you a defiant response, an eagerness to prove certain people wrong, a fire inside you that says, no, not me, not anymore. And you can channel that energy into proving wrong anyone who ever doubted you. Anyone who thought you'd always be stuck in this substance grip. Feel that you are unleashing an unstoppable desire to show them and yourself that you are stronger than the drug. Imagine the stations, the stops on this train. Now you're no longer a user. Maybe station 1 is just ensuring everything has been thrown away, certain contacts deleted or blocked. Burn a few bridges if you need to, because you don't need to cross them anymore. The last Blowout was also one of those train stations. You've done that now. No need to ever do it again. But I want you to imagine thinking of a few stations ahead. Maybe 3 months from now. I want you to imagine yourself with no urges, no desire, making progress. And maybe you find yourself using that time and money in ways that enrich and enhance your life. Maybe there's healthy habits, or maybe you're doing something that you found that can give you a feeling of stimulation without the negative downsides. This is just a stop on the way to your destination. But now start to imagine yourself at the final destination, perhaps a year or two from today. Free, whole, living a life worth living. Picture yourself having reclaimed every ounce of time, every spark of energy, every drop of emotion, and every pound of financial resources that substance once stole, and it did steal it. And you've invested all of it into creating a life filled with meaning, joy, and pride. And I want you to think of the kind of place that you might have a reunion, a celebration of your progress. And imagine your family, friends, and loved ones gathered around. See their faces glowing with pride, their eyes filled with relief, joy, respect, or admiration. And some of them will see you for what you truly are. Not a user, not an addict, but a survivor who escaped, a protector who returned, a person who chose life over destruction. Maybe you could imagine the hugs, feel the warmth of their embrace, the weight of their gratitude, the pride swelling in your chest. This is your truth, and this is your future, and it begins now. Because from this moment on, your subconscious mind reinforces this truth, that your last blowout was the last blowout. The last line was the last line. You are free. You are a survivor. You are a protector. And you are now living a life worth living. Because even escaping is living a life worth living. Feel that you are unleashing all of the internal resources needed to really step into that identity. You've stepped away from the identity of a user or abuser, and now you are a survivor. And a survivor doesn't want to go back to the abuser. Even if it's familiar, there is a part deep within you that knows that no amount of gratification or temporary pleasure is worth being pulled back. And I want you to get a sense that you're still on the train, but you're moving in the right direction. And maybe this train journey lasts a year or two, but you've already left the station. You're already moving in that direction. So allow your imagination to stay in that dreamlike sleep. There, on that train, and you're now returning to your physical body. And very soon, I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. And you will awaken feeling resourceful, aligned, hyper-focused, as you know it's possible for you to pursue a relentless journey to a destination. And this journey may take a year, but you are hyper-focused on getting to that destination. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes, connect and calibrate into the here and the now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of The Hypnotist. And if you've got some value from this episode, I'd like to ask a favor. And that is that all of the platforms have some way of you telling us that you like it. And that might be hitting the like button, that might be giving it a 5-star rating or a short review. And if it's possible, and it is on Spotify and YouTube, if you can drop a comment with what value you got from the show or anything you liked in particular, that really helps the algorithm to put it in front of new people. Thank you so much again for joining me on this episode, and I'll see you again soon in the next one.